Welcome back, and today I'm going to be going through the yarn that I bought while I was on vacation in Minnesota. We're going to be going through two different stores that I went to, and one of them was near to Minneapolis and the other one was a little closer to St. Paul. I believe the second one was actually in St. Paul. I got the business cards and everything so I can kind of show off where they are, and I tried to get things that were kind of local and things that weren't. So one of them I am really excited to talk about because it's a very interesting idea and I'm going to be doing something really cool with it, I hope. So not only am I going to talk about the yarn that I got, but I'm also going to talk about my plans for it because I have gotten to a point now in my yarning that I have to basically have a plan for pretty much everything that I buy, because if I don't, then I don't end up using it properly and it sits in my stash for a long time. And I'm going to talk about some yarns that have been in my stash for a long time fairly soon. And so I look forward to kind of going through some of that and showing you guys what I'm going to try and do to alleviate my stash being quite so out of control. As you can see, I did start doing my organizing I talked about last time, so things are a little bit sparse up here because I'm going to be putting something different here, and I moved all of my 6-day sweater yarn to the rolling luggage I was talking about. So I may end up doing a time lapse of me doing 6-day sweaters. I think that'd be really fun. So let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Okay, on to the yarn haul from my vacation. So the first place that I went to was Knitting from the Heart. It's in Woodbury, Minnesota. And so if you're ever in Woodbury, I do actually really suggest this. This is their business card. It's very cute. It's got like a little ruler on the bottom, which I thought was really neat, especially because it's about 3 inches. I'll have to see if it's accurate. I would think it would be though, because it's a knitting store. Which I think that's really cool because then you can test your stitches per inch. So the yarns that I got there, I'm going to show off the little bonus that I got first. They just had a cute little measuring tape. I have so many measuring tapes now after getting the 2 lanyard ones from Knit Crate, and then I got this one. So the first yarn I'm going to talk about is the yarn that I found in the clearance section. It's Wonderland Yarns Mad Hatter. I'm thinking Mad Hatter is the type of yarn. It's a superwash 100% merino, because on the side here it says Curious Tale number 308. So I'm going to have to look up a little bit more info on Wonderland Yarns. Maybe I'll find some stuff online and I'll link it in the description below if I can manage it. But I just fell in love with these colors. They're so pretty, and I being an Alice in Wonderland fan, I thought it'd be really cool to have something like this. I might end up doing a hat and a cowl if I can get enough yardage out of it. I might just do a cowl though. I want something that I can really show off, that has a lot of visual effect, that I can wear a good amount of time, because this is such a pretty yarn and I don't want it to go sitting in my stash of warm or things to keep me warm in the winter and only end up wearing it 2 months out of the year because it gets so warm. So a shawlette or a cowl, or maybe a hat and cowl set, because I do wear hats pretty frequently. I almost had to wear them a lot more because I almost shaved my head this week. I was getting very tired of my hair. So hence the shorter look now. So the other yarns that I bought, I did this in both stores that I went to, where I went to the person working the register when they weren't busy, because I don't want to be that person. And I said, okay, I'm from out of state. I have a YouTube channel and I want to review something specifically from the area, and I did not try to pump myself up as, oh, I have a YouTube channel, because I'm not trying to get a discount. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I just wanted them to give me a suggestion of something that represented what they felt was something cool that Minnesota specifically had to offer as far as yarn. And without hesitation, she didn't even have to think about it. She's like, right here. And she showed me this brand. So the brand is called Trippin' with Dixie Fiber Co. And the little tagline on the bottom says, an adventure of hand-dyed fiber and other artful oddities. So this colorway is called Masquerade, and the base is called Livia. It is superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon. So we've got another sock yarn with cashmere and cashmere and nylon, but with cashmere in it. So this is going to be just a dream to knit with. It's going to feel so nice under my hands. I'm looking forward to not only knitting some socks with this, but also having some of it left over to do my very tall socks from Knitty. I am collecting all of my leftover sock yarn, and that is what I'm going to be doing with it. Is I'm going to be doing the very tall socks from Knitty. I'm even going to make myself a garter belt from the Naughty Needles book. So very exciting. The other colorway that I got, it's also in the Livia, which is once again superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon, is Thank You OOAK. I don't know what OOAK stands for. I probably should have done some research before I sat down to do this, huh? So we're going to put it right here. I am such a good YouTuber, aren't I? I know exactly what I'm doing. It's all well planned out, well thought out. I do all my research. Anyway, so I absolutely fell in love with this as well. I've been on a purple kick lately. I may actually make something for my daughter with this because she does really, really love purple. She also really, really loves these colors too, though. So I'm gonna have her pick one of these. Like, which one do you want, kiddo? And I'll make you something. So this was what they suggested when I asked about something that was unique to Minnesota. And I absolutely love both of them, and I can't wait to work with them. And I think I am going to let my daughter have one of them. I think that that's, to me, I like to buy at least one thing for her. The first time my husband and I went on a vacation after she was born, we went on kind of like a second honeymoon almost to Madison, Wisconsin to see the Sklar brothers do a stage show. They did a Netflix show. I think it was called What Are You Talking About? We went and we saw the live taping of it. You can see us in the audience a couple times too. It's pretty neat. So, but while we were there, we actually took a long weekend and we were there for a few days. And one of the things that we did was my husband took me to this really cool yarn shop in Wisconsin that had a coffee house connected to it. And I found some Wisconsin specific yarn. It was a very pretty pink yarn that was kettle dyed and had a tinsel kind of spun into it. And I made my daughter a sweater, and she still has that sweater. It obviously doesn't fit her anymore because she was not even 6 months old when I, bought that yarn, and I made her that sweater really, really early on. And so she has, I think she puts it on one of her stuffed toys, but she does still have that yarn. So very exciting that she likes these things so much. I have some yarn over here, that's stuff that she wants me to knit her. I got to figure out with that yarn though, because it's a little bit complicated, the yarn that she picked for me to knit something easy with. So we'll see. I'm not going to knit something super duper complicated for a 7-year-old who's very wild, because I don't want it to be hard to take care of. Oh, you know what? Before I go on to the next one, I want to talk a little bit about, Knitting from the Heart. So it was a store that was in like a little strip mall. And it's one of those stores where you go in and it's just aisles and aisles, a little bit cramped, but still aisles and aisles of yarn. There was so much to look at. It was it felt like very much like an artistic person's space. It didn't feel as much like a shop as it felt like a place for people who are creative to go and to buy things, if that makes sense. Like, there is a difference, and that it was a very notable difference. And so I really enjoyed shopping there. There was so much to see. Made me feel really, really, really good being able to go and look at all that stuff. And I also haven't really done a lot of yarn shopping lately. I did my yarn haul from like what I have bought in the last, time frame, but I was fully vaccinated this time, and so I actually felt like I could really go in and squish the yarns, and I didn't feel like I was putting myself or anybody else in any harm's way. It was a wonderful experience. So this was a really great time for me, and I really did enjoy the store. So if you are in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, check out Knitting from the Heart in Woodbury, Minnesota. The next place that I went to, I did the same thing where I asked them to tell me about something that was unique to their area. And then I also got something that wasn't really that unique to that area. It was just something that I thought was nice. So I'm going to once again do that one first. And it's another, I have a problem lately apparently. So it's another fingering weight superwash merino yarn. and it is from Onyx Fiber Arts, and the colorway is Amalia, and it's once again beautiful purples and teals. I don't know why this is what I keep buying, but it is. So this is 490 yards. This can definitely be a hat and cowl set, or a decent sized shawlette. So I'm very excited to use this one. I think it's gorgeous and it feels really, really nice. This was one of them I really squished it and I was like, ooh, I thought really hard about this one. And this is I decided to get this one. There was a couple of them that I liked and I decided to get this one. So I do kind of like the imbalance where it's a lot of teal on one side and then the pink and purple on the other. And I knit a hat, a couple of hats a while back. I'll show them off eventually. Well, I mean, I'll show the one off because they turned out the same. Out of that yarn that was gray that had the little rainbowy stripes on it, if you remember from my Etsy haul forever ago, but when I was still shooting downstairs in my old place. I bought that yarn and it had a good texture to it for hats. It felt really nice against my head. I believe it was washable. And so I made a hat for me, a hat for my daughter, and somehow the specific hat pattern I used, it's created a spiral of color amongst the gray, and like it literally was a spiral. And like I said, I'll show it off sometime. I'm gonna do a tour of all of my different, things that I have, and show you guys all my FOs that are still in my house. I have given some away, but still. And but I'm hoping that whatever pattern I choose, because that was fingering weight yarn as well, that I'll be able to get the same effect and get that spiral effect. I may even just do the same kind of hat because it was a very simple hat pattern. And I like to do simple things when the yarn is like this, when it's a lot of colors. So these next hanks of yarn, skeins of yarn, are what I was really excited about talking about. So these were the two where I was like, show me where something that's unique to your area is. And so they, once again, no hesitation, they knew exactly what they were talking about. They led me to these. They had several different colors. I picked green because green's my favorite. And I forgot to show the business card. So this is the Yarnery. And it's the Yarnery, it's just yarnery.com. So simple business card. And it's in St. Paul. So it's the Yarnery in St. Paul. So they immediately showed me these Anthology Yarn Co. This is called Volume 3 Old Growth. And so the lighter one is called Bracken 20 and the darker one is called Bracken 60. And it is Midwest Merino and Corriedale, woolen spun in Wisconsin, hand dyed in Minnesota. Now, these yarns use the exact same dye in the exact same amounts. This is what I think is really cool because they had several colors like this where it was 3 shades. I got the darkest and the lightest of the green. There was one in the middle. And it's different amounts of the merino and Corriedale. So I believe it's the Corriedale has a grayer, like natural color to the wool. And so this has more Corriedale, this has more merino, and there's not a huge difference in texture. This is a very toothy yarn, but there's not a huge difference in texture. And they just, because one of the sheep has a more gray undertone instead of pure white like merino does, the dye took very differently and created a very different hue. This is almost a little bit brownish, whereas this is definitely more of like a sage green. The lighting's not doing it a lot of justice, but, and I know exactly what I'm going to do with this too. Like, just like all those, it's like, okay, I know I'm going to do some socks, or I'm going to do a shawl or a hat or both, or a cowl or whatever. I am going to do a hat and mitt set with these, and I'm going to do some color work with them. I'm going to do some very basic stranded color work, I think. I'm going to try and find a good pattern, and I'm going to show off the difference in the colors, and then I can say, yeah, this hat is made from yarn that was dyed with the exact same dye, exact same amounts, different wool base. So I think it's a really cool idea. I think it's a really cool way to show off the different wools and how they behave. And I think for somebody like me who's very interested in dyeing, very interested in sheep and yarn in general and how things are made, that this is just such a cool idea to me to do this. And I think it makes a lot of sense to dye them like this and to see how the dye is different, and to see it in a professional setting, somebody, dyeing, a group that does a lot of dyeing, does a lot of yarn based stuff, and they've done this, and then anybody who wants to get into dyeing now can see very visibly the difference. And I just think that's really cool. So I found that very fascinating. And so the yarnery is in St. Paul, and it was a store. It was a storefront that was in one of those, like, it's not a strip mall. You were going down like a normal city street, and you've got like all those businesses that are just one after the other. And the yarnery was just in amongst all these other things, and it had a huge front window, and you go inside, and the yarnery it's a very clean feeling. So when you compare it to the other store I went to, Knitting from the Heart, like I said, Knitting from the Heart, it was just packed in there. It was a little bit narrow, but it was still lots of rich colors and lots of little nooks to go into, and it was like a treasure hunt. And the yarnery was on the other side of the enjoyability spectrum for me, where it was, you go in and it's very clean looking. Everything is very easy you can see from the door almost every single yarn in that store. I would say there's maybe a few that were on lower shelves you couldn't see, but you could see other ones of their type higher up on the shelves. And to me, that's really cool. That is really cool to be able to go into a store and they still have a lot of variety, a lot of merchandise, but you go in and you can see everything. And it was by no means a large shop. Neither of these shops were particularly large. I'm very used to going to City Knits, and that's a pretty big one. Or the yarn stop is not that big, but it's bigger than either of these. It was probably twice the size, maybe not twice the size. But the yarn stop is definitely a bit bigger. And so going into these stores that were very small stores in very major bustling cities, it was really cool to see how differently they used their space, but how efficiently they both used it as well. Like I said, Knitting from the Heart, it was like a treasure hunt. Like, you can go down each of those little aisles and you're going to find something you love in every corner. But you had to go look for it. And then the yarnery, you go in and you can see everything, and you can immediately gravitate towards colors that you like. Or, you can tell, oh, that looks like sock yarn over there. I'm going to go check it out because I want to get sock yarn. So very enjoyable experiences in both of the buildings, both of the storefronts, and I enjoyed myself a lot. I think that it's such a fun thing to do, to check out these yarns that are local and that kind of, that are unique to the area you're in. So if anybody else has ever found some really cool yarns at other places other than where you live, please let me know where you found your cool out-of-state finds or out-of-country finds. I know some people are lucky enough they get to travel outside the country a lot. So when the borders open, I have some friends over in Canada I'm going to try and go see, and maybe I can go check out a yarn store in Canada while I'm there. And but I would love to hear about your unique local yarn finds from local areas, even if it's from the area you live in. I want to hear about local yarns. I want to hear about stuff that's made and dyed close to home. Like Wisconsin and Minnesota are close to each other, and I believe, yeah, and that the dyed yarn, yeah, and the Anthology Yarn Co. yarn that was spun in Wisconsin. The Anthology Yarn Co. yarn was spun in Wisconsin and dyed in Minnesota, and they said it was dyed just outside St. Paul. So that was so local to St. Paul. I think that's really cool. That's the type of stuff I love to see. So please let me know. You can tag me on Instagram if you want. I'm Be My Full Moon there. And take pictures and let me see. Let's start a conversation about what your state, your city has to offer, or what you found when you were out of state or out of the country. Things that you found and you loved and that you want to share. So thank you all so much for watching. This was a delight. I had so much fun shopping for this episode. So I am so grateful for the community that I've started to build. We may be small, but we're mighty. And I love talking about yarn. I love talking about crafts, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of this year holds. And I will see you guys in the next video. Please check out my social medias at the end and in the links below. I am Be My Full Moon everywhere except Ravelry in Twitter, where I'm Aorai. That's Aourai. My friends like to call it the vowel movement. And it's an old name I picked in high school, but I do have a Be My Full Moon Twitter. I just don't use it. So, and so many people follow me on the AORA one, and I don't want to make a Be My Full Moon Ravelry because I have so many friends on my AORA one. So whatever, I'm going to keep them. You know, it's a blast from the past for me. So I will see you guys all in the next video, and I'm looking forward to showing you what I make from all of these great yarns. That's all for today. Bye!